Hey everybody, Trainer Orange here, aka Jabba the Griffin, if you're from Smogon. Today, I'm just going to go over a quick rundown, my new channel. Well, not so quick, it probably ended up taking a while. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of do an introduction. I will be playing exclusively Battle Spot or Battle Stadium now, singles. So to start things off, I just wanted to kind of go through a little bit of team building. Discussion of the metagame where we are right now. We're in the very early stages of the metagame. So I just kind of want to look at, the threats that are out there, what I've used to pretty good success. I'll show you this right here on the screen is the team that I use to get to the Master Ball tier. I'm currently making a lot of tweaks. It's still early, like I said, so we're in kind of the introductory phase of the new metagame, and people are just, going everywhere trying stuff. So, things are shifting on a pretty constant basis, so you have to try to stay a little bit ahead of stuff. So right now I'm just going to go through what I use. This is a pretty bog standard team, and a lot of it's still used today, even if the sets aren't as relevant as they were. So first, if we just start off with Dragapult, I wanted to lead with this one because this is probably the most prevalent Pokemon currently in the metagame. You're going to see this everywhere. This is this generation's pseudo legend. This is it. The the Salamence, the Garchomp, the base 600 Dragon. This is Dragon Ghost, so pretty interesting typing. I'm not sure. Feel free to correct me, but I don't think we've seen that outside of Giratina and Giratina-O and Ubers. But I'm sure I'm forgetting something that didn't see any play. So anyway, you're going to end up seeing a lot of this if you're playing Battle Stadium singles. I originally started out with a choice band set, and I would highly recommend against doing that. So, as I said, the meta is constantly shifting. I think the way we're shifting currently is that special is really the way to go. I think special, the coverage that you're getting from there, and that's currently what I'm running right now. I'm running Expert Belt. I'm fairly certain you keep the Expert Belt boost when you Dynamax, which is nice because obviously you lose the Choice Band boost here. And also the moveset's just a little bit weak. You're looking at Phantom Force, which is just not a good move. U-Turn is not great if you're running offense. Obviously, if you're running a defensive core of maybe, Pharaoh, Tox, and you brought one of them, then you're safer to U-turn. But I like to run, offensive teams. So I usually don't have anything that I can safely pivot to off a U-turn, unless I'm really lucky or they're using an attack that, I actually have a switch in for. It's my opinion right now that if you're going to run Dragapult, run something special. Maybe run special Scarf. Hell, Specs could work right now. And so also make sure on the other side that you're prepared for it. That you can, prepare for the biggest threat in the metagame is essentially what I'm saying. Anyway, my second Pokemon was Mimikyu, which did a lot of work early on. I think things are adjusting a little bit. If you played Gen 7 Battle Spot, Mimikyu was very prevalent in that metagame, saw a ton of play. And the one thing to note is that Disguise ate what initially seems like not that big of a nerf. I think has come to shown that it's a little rougher than we thought it was. So now when the Disguise is broken, let me get through to the set. I'm running Adamant instead of Jolly. I've been seeing a lot more Jolly lately, so maybe take that into consideration. Running a standard Swords Dance set. So for one, obviously, I don't know if I actually went over what the nerf was. So now when your Disguise gets broken, you take 1/8 HP as it breaks. That means that you can't run Sash, which was probably the most common item that you were running. You essentially got 2 free Swords Dance dances against a lot of threats, and also against things that had Mold Breaker. You know, you could still survive through it, like against Excadrill, which I'll discuss a little bit later. So now you're gonna run Life Orb, and you know it's good. It packs a punch, but I think the nerf made it so that it's not amazing, and I think it's a lot easier to cover, and I think it's gonna give you a lot less trouble than you had against it in previous gens. So I've replaced this recently. I'll discuss later what I've been trying out recently. You know, the replacements that I've tried. I've tried a couple gimmicks too. Some have worked to greater degrees than other, but we'll get to that later. Next, I ran my good buddy Darmanitan Stan. I opted, so I went Jolly on this, which I'm not sure was the correct decision. I think it's still too early to tell what the best option is for it. I went, and you'll notice at some point that I have not PP upped any of my moves. I don't do that until it bites me in the ass, because that's just the type of person I am. Anyway, so I opted for Superpower Flare Blitz as the filler 2, and I think you kind of have the choice between 3 options. You can run Superpower, Flare Blitz, or you can run Earthquake. I'm not too fond of the idea of Earthquake. All you're really hitting is Toxapex, and you know, if my opponent brings Toxapex, I just forfeit anyway, so I'm not playing those games. So I like Superpower because it lets you get Max Knuckle when you Dynamax. I think Max Knuckle is one of the better just flat Dynamax moves, probably second in my mind behind Max Airstream, which I'll discuss later. A pretty prevalent strategy right now is Max Airstream abuse. I would recommend trying that out with some of the better abusers out there. So I ran Scarf on this, I started with Band, and then I switched to Scarf. I don't think Band, it's hard to run these slow banders in this metagame, and I'm not sure I recommend it. Scarf was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, nothing to really write home about, but it did its job and it did it well. You know, it got the kills that it needed to get, and you know, which other Scarfers aren't really doing right now. They're a little on the weaker end, or they're a little too slow. This at least has a little pace on it. So I also tried so hard to make this work. So right now this is Banded. Banded Moxie with Jolly. I've tried a couple sets now. I started with Walkin' DD, which is really bad, and I don't recommend it. Unless you're Intimidate, that's a different story. I've been trying to make Moxie work, and I just think maybe we're in a spot where you're going to have to just go with Intimidate, just so you get those, you know, opportunities to set up. So I went DD, Waterfall, EQ, Power Whip. As you'll see, the set was changed. Now I'm currently trying a Choice Band Airstream Abuse. I'm not even sure Choice Band is the right option, because you lose the Choice Band when you Dynamax. You lose the boost. So maybe you run Walk in here too, you know, and you just try to Airstream Abuse it. It's difficult. You know, we're still early in this metagame, and I think there's going to be, you know, a lot of testing that we're going to have to do before we're absolutely certain about, you know, what the best sets are for mons that are clearly good, like Gyarados. You know, there's no doubt that this is going to be a threat in the metagame, but we just have to fine-tune it to optimize the set. So we'll see where it ends up. I think we're going to end up with maybe Walk-In with this Airstream Abuse, but we'll see. Alright, next up is what I think is probably my most used, or most brought to my 3 Pokemon right now, and that's Mold Breaker Drill. Jolly. And I'm running a Sword Stance 3-attack set. Even though Mimikyu usage is diving a bit, it's still nice to have this to almost discourage your opponent from bringing it if they have it in their 6. And 2, if they do bring it, then you have this. And I think it does well against the rest of the metagame too. I'm seeing a lot of Grimmsnarl, which you can just Swords Dance up as it reflects because it's never going to taunt you if they even run taunt, which a lot aren't. So you can get, you know, to even ground. Here's the thing. I'm not sure if Swords Dancing a second time is the play there, or just going through with the Iron Head. It's tough. I don't know if there's an optimal line for that yet. I guess it depends on what the most common sweepers are in the back, because, you know, if you only have the one SD up and they're running, you know, Airstream Abuse Togekiss, then you're going to lose that matchup when it swaps. I'm not sure what the numbers are on if you Swords Dance again, if you can power. I doubt you can power through, but you're going to put in more chip damage, which will make it a little bit easier to deal with on the back end. So, or you can max yourself. You know, you could Dynamax yourself and then maybe check the numbers on that and see where that ends up. You know, so I'm not sure what the most optimal line of play is, but I've just been Swords Dancing once and then I just start blasting. So plug and play for that. But either way, this is a good Pokemon. I think you should highly consider bringing it if you're making a team these days. Obviously, there are other options for Excadrill too. You can do Sand Rush. Now that Excadrill can set its own sand. That might be something better going forward, as people don't expect it. I know I've lost to a lot of things pretty recently. I'd like to start uploading some of the gimmicks I lose to. I have a great match against Excadrill that embarrassed me. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. Alright, and so the last Pokemon that dragged my ass across the finish line into Master Ball tier was Rotom-W. Always a staple in these formats, always a staple in OU. You're gonna see it a lot. This is not optimal. I believe this is Modest. Yeah, this is Modest, and I went Speed Special Attack. I initially had it as a Scarfer, and it was just a bad Scarfer. So I quickly ditched that. I replaced Trick with Will-O-Wisp, and kept the rest of the set the same, and now it just takes too much damage. I think if you're going to run this kind of set, if you're not going to run Specs, first off, if you're going to run Specs, think about maybe running Rotom H first. I think it's better suited for the metagame. But if you're going to run Specs, or not Specs, or either one really, honestly, just pump HP. You know, maybe pump some defense. See if you can check the calc to see how much Power Whip is going to do to you, and then maybe roll from there. So this is what got me there. And so quickly, let me get through. I'll show you some of the stuff I've also been using. Not this. This is my egg hatcher. I'm gonna show you some of the stuff I've been using and some of the stuff I'm gonna think about using going forward. So this was originally on my team. This was Sashgar with Bond, Ball, Sludge Wave, and Focus Blast. It's not good, unfortunately. Well, for one thing, if there's ever a physical Dragapult around, it just runs through you with darts, right through the sash. So that alone isn't good. But also, that 350 speed tier isn't great, especially because Gengar itself trades a lot of bulk for that. And right now, I feel like you want that bulk instead of the speed. If you're not going to be faster than Dragapult, which isn't a thing, then all you really need to be faster than is base 100. Will do it. I've been seeing a lot of Charizard recently, and Charizard is almost in a speed tier alone right now, until you get the Dragapult. So it's a really interesting speed tier metagame right now. But I think Gengar is faster than it needs to be. Maybe that means it could run Modest, but I don't think that the typing is doing it. I don't think it hits hard enough. Maybe like a Modest Life Orb could be a possibility, but at that point, just run Dragapult. Just do that set, but with Dragapult, you know? Here's the Expert Belt. I switched. You may have seen on the other Dragapult, I was originally running Clear Body. That seemed to make more sense, especially you know, because you're physical, so you don't want your attack lowered. This doesn't really care about that. Doesn't really care about other stats being lowered either. So I went Infiltrator, which will, I'm sure, come in handy someday. Hasn't yet, but it will. Right here is the Grimmsnarl I was discussing. I pumped a lot in defense and some in special defense. I'm running the eject button. Right there you'll see I have taunt. I don't think that's correct. I think you want to attack there, or else you just lose once your sweepers get knocked down. If you have an attack there, you know, Spirit Break. If your sweepers are able to wear down your opponent enough, then you can use this to clean. It's not what you want to do, but if it happens, it happens, and, you know, that way you have it. Durant, I've been trying to make work a lot. It is very, very good. I will say that right now. It hits like a truck. You keep the Hustle boost through Dynamax. You keep the Life Orb boost through Dynamax. You have 4 really good attacks. Sometimes you can get a Max Knuckle in, boost that attack even higher, then you're running through everything. One downside, though. When they stall you out of Dynamax, now your attacks are down to 80%. And I will tell you right now, you are going to roll teams with this. Get right to the finish line. All you have to do, clear that one last attack. You know, you just need to hit that Iron Head. That's all you need to do. And then you miss. For the 5th time that night. So, it's good, but I guess everything that's broken usually comes with a bit of a downside, and the Hustle issue is Durant's downside, almost to the point where sometimes I just want to release him and say, please get out of here, stop losing me games, fella. But he'll win you more than he loses you. Here's another one I initially ran. Hydreigon. Before Hydreigon and Haxorus can almost, you know, hang out in the same club, and they were they were mistakes that were made before I realized that this was a Dragapult metagame. Now, I have heard of people making Haxorus work, you know, making teams that can kind of push through the Dragapult, you know, enable Dragon Spam, you know, get a DD in under Haxorus. I haven't seen those specific teams, but I think there's something that can work. Haxorus hits like a truck, obviously, if you've ever seen any Haxorus attack once. So if you're able, it's not something I would try probably with Grimmsnarl. You know what? That actually might be a good combo. Right into that DD. I don't know. That's tough. There's definitely a way to make it work. I'm just not sure what it is. And I'm sure it's something that people will try because people, you know, like Haxorus. It's fun to just run through. Hydreigon is in the same boat as Haxorus. You know, I think something like Scarf could probably work. It's very good Dynamaxer because it has amazing coverage, and its moves translate really well into Dynamaxing. So I think that might be the way to go. It doesn't hit hard. I mean, it hits really hard, but I feel like your Scarfers almost need to be borderline busted. So, I don't know. Definitely worth trying, and I might bring it back at some point to give it a shot. I mean, I have it. It's there. So, you know, why not? Here's something I've been trying to make work a lot, and that has been extremely unsuccessful. And this is my boy Dracovish, the Frankenstonian fossil. Obviously, Fishious Rend doubles in power if you move first. So obviously right off the bat you're thinking 2 things. You're thinking Choice Scarf, which I've been trying recently, which unfortunately just not strong enough. Okay. And Choice Band, but with support. One, bringing it against slow teams, which does work really well, but unfortunately not a lot of slow teams out there right now. 2, support. And what kind of support is that? That's baton passing support, which I have not tried yet. You know, baton pass agility or dragon dances, which Dragapult can do. Or I think I already said agilities. Or 2, tailwind support through Whimsicott. That could be an option. You know, because you can tailwind into Memento real quick and then just let this thing fire off fishy boys. and 3, web support. You know, using something like Galvantula to set sticky webs, so that, you know, everything that's grounded is going to end up being slower than you. I've heard that's not great. Web support's always been a little bit of a gimmick, because the Pokemon that get webs are never really that good. So there's always kind of a value proposition when you're using something like even this guy over here, Grimmsnarl. Since he isn't going to be doing the work, he's not going to be countering Dynamax Pokemon. He's not going to be killing stuff. So for him to be valuable, he needs to give his support to something that gets at least 2 Pokemon worth of value, if not more. Especially more if you the supportee Dynamaxes. Okay, so based on that value proposition, and that's especially important in Battle Spot singles where you're only bringing 3. You know, in Standard OU, it's not as important that the supportee do its job to the fullest extent, because assumedly you're running a team with 5, you know, sweepers in the back if you're using this kind of support. Just one of them needs a breakthrough. Even the first guy might just need to weaken another guy so that, you know, a third guy can come in and you know, bring all that value through at one time. In Battle Spot singles, that's not going to happen as often, okay? You're not going to kind of weaken something just enough. Obviously, it's something that's going to happen from time to time, but usually you want to get the upfront value. You don't want the long-term value. So something like if this screens into Durant, and I D-max with this Durant, I want to kill 2 Pokemon before it dies. And then I want to at least hit the last one, or I want to be able to safely screen it or T-wave it again with this guy, or taunt it if need be, or just attack it or whatever. Just get chip value in for my last. So I want at least 2 kills here. Maybe I want him to pop his D-max, you know, and let me, you know, run through that, you know, mistakenly. Instead of saving it for third, which you will see sometimes, but not that often. Most people know you just wait it out and then you come through with the last. So that's kind of the issue. And the webs Pokemon right now aren't good enough, and what you're supporting also isn't good enough. So you got this value proposition where both sides really aren't contributing to that end game value enough that you need. So still we're trying, and I'm going to discuss in these videos, I'm going to show some really weird sets, some really weird mons. You know, right now my team's box standard. That was just to get there. Now that I'm in Dumpster Master Tier, I'm just going to get the weird stuff out, okay? The metagame's so fresh, I think things could be, you know, fun. Let's have some fun with it. Let's bring the Eiscue in, you know, let's try to make that belly drum set work. You know, let's just run the gamut of gimmicks, okay? Let's just see what we can make happen. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. Hopefully, you know, we can just lock onto something that's really unexpected and you know, does a better job than anyone really think it could do. And one thing I'm going to be trying soon is I'm going to try to make this little cute teacup work, because I think it's adorable and it's awesome. Learn Shell Smash. So I'm going to try to make some sort of Shell Smash team work. I'm thinking maybe full sweeper, 3 attacks. I hear it gets Baton Pass, so Smash Pass used to be very, very good with Gorobis and its fishy buddy. I forget what its name was. That used to be a really, you know, killer combo. So we can see if that's something you can make work again. If not, then not. So, you know, just to end this video, you know, discuss maybe some of the threats you're going to run into. Like I said, Airstream abuse is real big right now. I think the biggest one, and I'm going to try running it myself lately, see what the best set is Weakness Policy Togekiss. Weakness Policy is seeing a lot of play right now. And I would, if I was you, it might not have been something you considered in last gens, but right now it's great because, you know, sometime, you know, in the past, weakness policy holders would often just die to the super effective attack. Now that you can abuse Dynamax to double your HP, and then they come through, they hit you super effectively, weakness policy bust, and you max Airstream, now you're +1 speed, you're +2 whatever attack you're using, and then you have great coverage with really strong attacks. So that's, you know, what Togekiss is operating on. I think there are other Pokemon that can really abuse this that we're not really looking at yet. Maybe something like a Hawlucha. Who knows, you know? A Hawlucha with, you know, Unburden or something. You know, could be cool. Could just be fun to test out. So I think there's a lot of uncharted territory with weakness policy now that people are realizing, hey, this is pretty useful this gen. Let's try to abuse this. You know, in coordination with Airstream abuse. So, you know, that's going to be something that I think you should look out for, and you should, you know, be looking to do yourself. Look at ways to abuse Dynamax that people aren't doing right now, because I think the best way to Dynamax right now, I'm not going to get into a discussion whether I think it's broken or not. Obviously, Smogon is suspect testing it right now in OU. Battle Spot singles, it's here. We got to deal with it, you know? So look at ways, you know, like this Durant, you know, abusing Hustle through Dynamax. I think there are ways that other Pokemon can do this that we're not really looking at right now. So I would say if you're coming into the tier and you don't want to run this bog standard nonsense right over somewhere, you know, you don't want to run this. I don't want to use Dragapult. I don't want to use Mimikyu. I don't want to use Drill. No, that's for the losers. I want to run the fun stuff. Just look for ways that you can abuse Dynamax in ways that aren't being abused right now. You know, look for that kind of stuff. Keep an eye out. And then, you know, and then roll with it. Just have fun. Just have fun out there. So anyway, you know, this is my original team. This is, you know, where I'm going. I'm going to be trying out some gimmicks. I'll post whatever games I think are interesting up here. Maybe some where the gimmicks work. Maybe some where they fail miserably, you know. Maybe some where I get gimmicked on, which I think will be fun for everybody. So anyway, keep an eye out for those coming through. Maybe I'll post some more rigid guides going forward. A little less, you know, conversationalist, a little more strict, and, you know, kind of tell you what to do. If you're one of those people, do you want to be told what to do? Well, have I got news for you. Anyway, keep an eye out on this channel. Like, subscribe, smash that sideways button, and I'll see you guys next time when I actually post some games. Godspeed.